Here we go. Good evening. I would like to call the January 5th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting to order. I would like to point out that this meeting is being hosted through live stream on the city's website and by teleconference for public comment. Due to the structure of this meeting, I'd like to remind the Planning Commission to have their microphones turned on and positioned so that the audience can hear. Director King, may we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Diaz-Strickler? Here. Commissioner Hill? Here. Commissioner Lemke?
Here.
Commissioner Van Arsdale? Here. Vice Chair Wood?
Here. Okay, please stand for the invocation and flag salute.
Bless the people of this community and our commission to help us work together to make a better home for all. If you could please place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda item number 4, announcement of Planning Commission appointment by City Council through June 21st. Director King.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chair. Tonight, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Dana Hill. He comes from with a lot of experience behind him. He was a commissioner at City of Placentia, and he'll be sharing all of those experiences and his knowledge with us. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. All right, would you like to do a reorganization now?
Okay, so in the past we did not have a chairperson because we only had 4 commissioners. Tonight we have a full commission. So if you would like to do a reorganization and nomination, we are welcome to do that tonight.
I'd like to nominate John for Commissioner Wood, or Vice Chair Wood for Chairman.
I'll second.
Well, I guess I have to vote yes.
Oh. You want to move the blue plate?
No. If you could just revote. Yeah, I think that I had everyone differently. I think, yeah, we moved him after the text were set up.
All right, so that motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Now, is there a nomination for Vice Chair?
I nominate Lori Van Arsdale to be our Vice Chair.
I second.
Lori, did you abstain on your vote?
No, I understand.
Okay.
And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have a short recess to reorganize everyone? Thank you.
No problem.
It's not going to be for a while that we talk about it.
I read mostly that one, but I take a look at it.
All settled in? Okay. All right, agenda item number 6 is for the approval of the minutes for our January 5th, 2021 meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions for the minutes? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for approval.
I recommend to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting of January 5th, 2021.
Second. Right.
Three times? Three times, correct?
Correct.
Can you place your votes again?
All right, and the motion passes 4-0-1. Okay, we now move to item number 7, the public comment period. To accommodate public comment, we have made some temporary changes to this part of our agenda that were necessitated to comply with COVID-19 directives. There is a temporary 2-minute per person time limit for all general public comments on non-public hearing items. All who wish to speak, including commissioners and staff, need to be recognized by the chair before speaking. Members of the public shall comply with the adopted rules of decorum, Resolution 4545, a copy of which can be requested through the city clerk's office. You may also fill out a form and submit your comments online at www.hemetca.gov/councilchamberlive, and it will be read aloud. Submittal must be done before 2 p.m. the day of the meeting. For those that wish to join by teleconferencing, you will be able to join by calling 888-585-9008. When prompted, dial 743-463-604#. You will be asked for your name prior to speaking. Reminder, if you are joining by teleconference, please mute your phone to prevent noise interference until you are given time to provide public comment. Please state your name and item you are commenting on before speaking. Are there any members of the public participating through teleconference that would like to comment on any items not on the agenda?
There are members of the public on the line, if we just want to make sure there's not a delay in the audio.
Again, are there any members of the public participating through teleconference that would like to comment on any items not on the agenda? Okay. All right. Item 8A. This is a continued item from previous meetings. General Plan Amendment, Page Ranch.
Congratulations, Chairman Worth, and welcome Commissioner Hill, and good evening, Commissioners. I'm Dave Leonard. I'll be presenting this case. This is a case that was continued from the January 19th hearing. It's called the Rancho Diamante Specific Plan Amendment. The applicant is Strata Equity Group, and the representative is Pangea Land Consultants, and this is the last extent of the Page Ranch specific plan, but retitled Rancho Diamante after a couple of amendments ago. What I'm going to try to do is take a fairly complex case in terms of what's written before you and convey to you how simple the project really is. and in order to get a grasp of what is all involved in it. The project site is rather unspectacular in itself. It's been used for farming. The area to the east side of the property with the trees is a former housing site that was related to agricultural use. That house was torn down some years ago, and it dated back to the 1940s. The only other distinguishing feature is part of the development to the east. There was a drainage channel that extended by that developer and extended to the southern boundary of this project, and this is a retention basin that serves as part of that. That's all going to be incorporated into this development. So here's the complicated part. There's a subsequent environmental impact report related to this project. There is a specific plan amendment to change the Paid Ranch Plan Community Development specific plan to what is now Rancho Diamante, and a general plan amendment that accomplishes a couple of things, which I'll get into shortly. All of that is to support Tentative Track 36841. There was a full-blown analysis of the environmental impacts under the California Environmental Quality Act. Shaping or coming out of that analysis was 3 impacts that could not be mitigated to a level of insignificance. The loss of agriculture is the obvious one. There was one contaminant in the air quality analysis that exceeded state thresholds, and that related to nitrogen oxide, and then cumulative traffic and circulation. The project-generated traffic itself did not create a significant impact, but when you added that to cumulative conditions citywide, there's where the impact occurred. So there has been a statement of overriding considerations prepared for Commission's considerations as required by law. There were other components during the process of this case. We needed to comply with the tribal consultation process under Senate Bill 16 and AB 52. The Saboba Band of Indians did request consultation. That was completed. Mitigations were put into place, and that was closed out on October the 5th, 2020. Also, the Airport Land Use Commission had jurisdiction over the site because of its proximity to the Hemet Ryan Airport. There was a series of analysis that was carried out between the applicant and the Airport Land Use Commission. They made a finding of land use compatibility on February 27th, 2020. This is the project as it is approved today. It features several different densities of residential that total 817 dwelling units. The proposal under the amendment is to eliminate the alignment of New Warren. Let me go back to this graphic. New Warren is this street right here that goes right through the middle of the project. That would be eliminated. Then, in replacement of that, Mustang Way would be extended from Warren to Stetson Avenue. The planning areas for residential uses would be combined from 3 to 1 residential use planning area. So this is what shakes out of that. Mustang Way is extended instead of the New Warren alignment, and there is the one residential area that's now comprised in all of this area, plus there's the creation of a commercial component within the project area. The general plan amendment is, in addition to extending Mustang Way, is also to reduce the design capacity of Warren Road from a 6-lane arterial to a 4-lane secondary, and to amend the land use element to establish the regional commercial, which I just showed. This is what the changes are in the street sections that would occur under the proposal. The existing is on the top. That's the 6 lanes, 3 lanes of travel in each direction, plus a raised median. The area, it would be proposed to be reduced to a secondary as shown below, which has 4 travel lanes, 2 in each direction, within the 88-foot right-of-way. The traffic analysis that was prepared for this proposal supports this change, as well as staff. The tentative tract encompasses 245 acres. It proposes 586 single-family units. It does have a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet, but because of the gradual increase of size around open space areas, ends of cul-de-sacs, and so forth, the average lot size is actually 6,434 feet. There are additional 160 acres of related uses and 1 lot of commercial use for 19.67 acres. The related use consists of public and private parks. There's 1 public park. It would be an active sports use park. The other open space areas are private parks, pocket parks and so forth, which are more passive but improved. Then there's additional area for parks, or additional area for drainage improvements and utilities. There's also acreage required for drainage facilities. This is the track map. Coming before you tonight is a set of conditions of approval. There's a condition that applies or refers to a table A that is a very detailed list of specific street improvements by phase over the course of the project. And then this exhibit is attached to table A, which relates the phasing plan, as shown here, to those improvements in the table. This is the Planning Commission's authority to allow for the approval, denial, or modification of any specific plan or amendment thereof, and to review, consider, and approve or conditionally approve tentative track maps. Again, part of the complication of this, the depth of data that is required to support it. There is a draft Rancho Diamante specific plan, a final Rancho Diamante specific plan, which responds to the comments on the draft. A mitigation monitoring and reporting program that assigns who's going to do what over the course of the construction of the project. Findings of fact, which are contained in the resolutions as well as the overriding considerations. The Rancho Diamante specific plan amendment document, the Page Ranch PCD design guidelines, which are not new to this project but we're incorporating by reference, and then tentative track map 36841. The analysis has shown that the project is consistent with the general plan land use density. It has a range of 2.1 to 5 units per acre with an overall density proposed here in at 3.65 units per acre. It complies with the City of Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance from our review of the project and the Page Ranch Plan Committee Master Plan and Development Standard Design Guidelines incorporated by reference. So the recommendation coming to you tonight is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council adoption of the subsequent EIR and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the final Page Ranch PCD specific plan amendment, general plan amendment as shown, tentative track map, all based on the findings outlined therein, and that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution recommending that the Hemet City Council amend the Page Ranch and general plan amendment and approve tentative track 36841, subject to the findings and conditions of approval. That shows an area of dispute that's no longer in dispute at this time. So that concludes staff's presentation. Be happy to try to answer any questions you have. I understand online is also the engineering staff, as well as the environmental consultant and traffic engineer.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, so the only issues that we are looking at today are these two items above? That's it?
Yes. That is what is before the commission to approve.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else?
The Street C, as we discussed earlier, the Street C, I know that was an issue in the last meeting that they were going to discuss on extending that road over the aqueduct. And I can't quite find the verbiage that they're going to do that. Are they going to do this, or are they still in the works?
The applicant has agreed to extend that road and improve all the way to the property line of the southern property line of this project.
I should have elaborated on that on this phasing exhibit. The area we're discussing is right here. As you see, there's a cross-hatched line. The applicant is agreed to dedicate the right-of-way, the full right-of-way for Street C south of KK with Phase 3 and to construct that street in its entirety as part of Phase 6, the commercial site. So it is covered now.
One other question on the new Warren Road. Because I know on the original map, it doesn't cut into the Mustang, it just kind of comes through. Is that new Warren Road still coming, or is that just something that was in the plan years ago?
I'm not sure which section you're talking about.
Where they're trying to revise Mustang. The original map shows the old Warren Road coming through.
They're not going to do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they're replacing that with the new Mustang. Correct. Is there still an old Warren Road that's going to be developed, that's coming through that area at some point?
No, the Mustang Road will extend out westward and then up to, I guess that would be the extension of the Stetson Road in the future.
Could you go back to the original? So was the, that was part of my questioning a little bit. So the original alignment of the new Warren Road for the general plan, that was to tie back into kind of where it intersects Simpson and the overpass of Salt Creek. Is that right? And if that's correct, then what's changed in terms of traffic or development that is going to negate the need for that 6 lanes? I understand as far as Mustang's an existing 4-lane. It's taking traffic tributary from the area to the east. But does keeping the old Warren Road alignment as a 4-lane, does that provide enough circulation without the addition of the new Warren Road?
You raise a very good point. A couple things I want to clarify. The new Warren Road, as shown here, was basically a road to nowhere. The southern boundary of this track map is also the city limits. There's no development proposed to the south. So it was Mustang extension allows for an interior circulation within the city's control, which serves a far better purpose than this proposal did. The other thing is, the reason we spent a great deal of time with the applicant discussing Street C was that would be an internal part of the circulation to relieve and the traffic on existing Warren Road, so that there'd be interior circulation running parallel with it within the project site. So people could conceivably get from the south of this project all the way up to the commercial area without ever getting on Warren Road.
Gotcha.
So that was a part of the considerations as part of the review of this track map.
Gotcha. Very good. Any other questions for staff? All right. All right, thank you. Go ahead and open public hearing or public comment. And is the applicant here or online? Online.
This is Rich Brasher, civil engineer and planner for the project. Want to thank the commission for allowing us to be back here this evening on the continuation from our December meeting. Yes, the point of contention before our discussion was the extension of Street C. Thank you to staff. We've worked through that, and as David mentioned in his presentation, we're proposing to construct that concurrent with our Phase 6.
Sorry, would you mind giving your address for the record, please?
733 Frederica Street, apartment 16, Atlanta, Georgia, 30306.
Thank you. All right, are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, so are there any issues with any of the conditions of approval or any of the recommendations by staff?
If you're asking me as representative of the applicant, no, we have no comments.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, were there any comments online or from the board?
We did not receive any e-comments.
Is there anybody on teleconference that would like to speak to this project? Okay. Go ahead and close the public hearing. Thoughts? Questions? Issues? Concerns?
I am grateful that there was a compromise and a plan, and it's happening. I appreciate everybody involved, the staff, and I'm excited to see when we get to work together to make things happen. So thank you very much for all of your hard work.
Okay, well, entertain a motion.
I recommend that we adopt Planning Commission Resolution 2021, recommending that the Hemet City Council adopt a subsequent Environmental Impact Report, SEIR, and Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program for Final Page Ranch PCD Specific Plan Amendment 15-001, General Plan Amendment 15-002, and Tentative Track Map NOS 36841, based upon the findings outlined therein, and approve Planning Commission Resolution 2021 recommending that the City Council amend Page Ranch Specific Plan SPA 15-001, amend General Plan GPA 15-002, and approve Map 15-008, Tentative Track Map number 36841, subject to the findings and conditions of approval.
You got the wrong one. I'll second that.
Thank you.
And it passes unanimously. Thank you very much online. And we'll move on to agenda item number 9A, conditional use permit for the 7 days market. Good evening.
Good evening. Tonight I'm going to be presenting conditional use permit modification 13-005 for 7 days market. The owner is Nita and Sanjay Sheriwala, and the location is 3660 East Florida Avenue, and they are requesting approval of an ABC or alcohol beverage control type 21 license, which is for off sale of beer, wine, and distilled spirits at their existing convenience store gas station. Here we can see that the general plan is community commercial. The zoning is C2, which is general commercial. And here we have an aerial view of the site. This is now part of their parking. It was their land, but for some time the auto sales was using that to store or to display vehicles. But now it is part of their parking. This is Stanford and then Florida. Some background, this site was originally permitted as a 7-Eleven gas station, and it was a county of Riverside. The building was remodeled in 1990. The property was annexed into the city of Hemet in 1991 under Annexation 90-131. The fueling island and 2 gas dispensers were removed in 1992. 7 Days Market obtained a Type 21 license in March 2000. Conditional use permit 13-005 was approved in April 2014 to add the gasoline dispensers and extend the hours to 24 hours a day. Extension of time number 16-002 was approved in March of 2016, which extended the CUP approval. December 31, 2019, 7 Days Market applied for a certificate of occupancy because they had completed the work that was applied for with conditional use permit 13-005. The applicant is requesting the modification of CUP 13-005 because according to Hemet Municipal Code 90-90C3, if any ABC license establishment that has its license revoked, suspended, or surrenders license to ABC or discontinues use of the license for 30 days or has its conditional use permit revoked or vacates the property shall obtain a new conditional use permit before reestablishing the use. The Type 21 license was surrendered, and here we have an adjustment to the date. We got clarification from ABC, and the Type 21 license was actually surrendered from January 20th, 2017 to January 8th, 2020. So they did not have a license for 3 years. but neither CUP 13-005 nor extension of time 16-002 addressed alcohol sales in their staff report or their conditions of approval. And according to the code, if the license is surrendered for more than 30 days, then a CUP is required. To give you a little background, the Type 20 is a beer for beer and wine, for off-sale of beer and wine. And there are 16 gas stations with convenience stores in the city of Hemet, and 15 of them have a Type 20. 7 Days Market is included in these 16, and they still have a Type 21, and ABC has not revoked the license as of now. Approving a Type 21 has a possibility of setting a precedent to the other gas stations with convenience stores that have a 20. Here we have some information that was obtained from the police department, and we see gas stations with convenience stores that are located within city limits, and all of them have Type 20 license, and these are the numbers of calls. They do vary, and there really isn't a pattern here. Market with liquor license, which is like Lyons Market on Lyon in Florida, La Famosa, which is on Latham and Talkwitz, Palm Tree Market, which is on Menlo and State, La Perla, which is on Santa Fe and Florida. Some of them have a Type 21, some of them have a Type 20, but they're similar uses, and we can see that the Type 21 has more calls than the Type 20 with these similar uses. Comparing drugstores, we see that there's CVS Market, Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS, all in different parts of Hemet, and Type 21 has higher here, here it's lower. The Type 20 has a low number of calls. This is just given to you as reference as far as showing that the Type 21, according to Hemet PD records, does have more calls, and these calls are not just all their calls, but quality of life calls. In the census tract where 7 Days Market is located, which is census tract number 433.01, there are 5 off-site or off-sale licenses. 4 of them are 20. 4 of them are 21. 1 of them is a 20. And this census tract is over-concentrated, as ABC has recommended that there would be 1 off-site license in the census tract based on population. Hemet Rocks was formed to improve quality of life through ordinance creation. Per Ordinance 1858, greater densities of on-site and off-site sale outlets generally have higher rates of motor vehicle crashes, alcohol-related hospital admissions, pedestrian injury collisions, nuisance and criminal activities such as drug dealing, public drunkenness, loitering, and other behaviors that negatively impact neighborhoods occur with disproportionate frequency at and around premises with on-site and off-site alcohol sales. Ordinance number 1858 was adopted in January 2013. It was aimed at alcohol restrictions. It made it so that alcohol sales required CUP approval, and there were additional findings which included distance requirements to schools, parks, churches, residential zones, and parolee and probationer homes. The conclusion that we came with this information is that there are more quality of life calls to businesses with a Type 20 than businesses with a Type 20, more calls to businesses with a Type 21 than to businesses with a Type 20. There is an overconcentration of ABC licenses in the census tract where 7 Days Market is located, and we do have to consider Ordinance 1858, which addresses alcohol sales, and calls to have increased at 7 Days Market from the last year that they were open to this past year where they have been operating. Approving a Type 21 would set a precedent to other gas station convenience stores that have a Type 20. Staff is recommending that the applicant apply for a Type 20, which is just beer and wine. Staff finds that the Type 20 of the off-sale of beer and wine would be less intense and consistent with the approved ABC licenses approved for other store and convenience store gas stations in the city of Hemet, which all have a Type 20 off-sale. And the Hemet Police Department prefers to see a Type 20 rather than a Type 21 at this location as well. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Planning Commission Resolution 2021 for Conditional Use Permit 13-005, Modification Number 1, denying the request for a Type 21 off-sale, beer, wine, and distilled spirits of the ABC license. This concludes my presentation. The applicant is also here to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
Can I get the location again?
3660 East Florida Avenue, which is on the corner of Stanford and Florida. That would be the northwest corner.
Stanford in Florida. I'd like to get a ruling on whether I should recuse myself. Where I live, my residence is Stanford and Park. That's the major cross street. That might be a little too close.
But how far would you estimate that is in feet?
Probably 200 yards away.
I would recommend that you recuse yourself.
Okay, I'll recuse myself. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Do we need to have Commissioner Hill go into the back room? Okay. Now, so you can go right through that door there. Yes.
If you wave your hands, the light will come on. Oh, there it goes.
Laura,
I'm well.
yes, you know that room well. Any other questions for staff? So right now we're at an overconcentration for the census tract of 5 over or 4 over what's recommended there.
Yes.
And one of those is that existing 21 for 7 days, but that 21, the existing 21 license for 7 days has been revoked.
7 days has not been revoked. They are still selling at this time. ABC has not revoked their license. The Type 20 and 21 are all considered off-sale. And that's what is the overconcentration is on off-sale, whether it be 20 or 21.
But that's what they're asking.
They're asking for a 20. I'm sorry. They're asking for a 21. We're asking the applicant to apply for a 20, which does not decrease the number of licenses, but it does have a less intense.
Right, but what I'm getting at is that list of 5 right there, there's the Type 21, that's what it would be if we were to approve it? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
This would change if you deny it.
Do you already have the 20?
They already have a 21.
You already had a 21 from a long time?
Well, hold on. We'll have you come up in just one moment.
They have a 21 presently,
Okay, but no CUP.
but not approved by the city of Hemet.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank
Because it was
you.
closed for a long time.
Gotcha. Okay.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So, all the rest of the convenience stores that you showed us in town have the Type 20,
Convenience store with gas
the
station.
gas station. If we approve this, it would set a precedent, and then probably, I'm not saying they will, but a lot of the others would come back to us saying, okay, we want a 21 too. So you're recommending that this be a 20 to be more in conformance with the rest of the gas station convenience stores.
Well, we're recommending that you deny what the applicant is proposing and have the applicant apply for a 20, and then they would have to come back to the commission for approval of a 20.
and the 21 that they had was from many years back. And when it wasn't, if I remember right, they pulled the gas tanks out, and they were just a store at one time for quite a while.
Right. They had a 21 and they were just a market.
And then it was closed for a long time, and it was closed for...
It closed for 3 years.
3 years.
Between 2017 and 2020 for the construction, the renovation, and the installation of the dispensers in the tanks, gas tanks.
If they never closed during that 3-year gap, they would have still continued to have that 21 if they put it in the original CUP?
Well, they needed to get a CUP to add the dispensers, the gasoline dispensers, and that's when it should have been addressed, because then it would have been mentioned that they want to continue the alcohol sales, because as soon as they surrendered their license, alcohol sales ordinance, which says that once it's surrendered for more than 30 days, a new CUP needs to be applied for, which it could have been incorporated in the CUP 13-005 and addressed at that time. Whether they would have asked for they probably would have requested a 21, but at the same time we would have had the same argument that we're having today, that gas stations with convenience stores have 20s.
Gotcha. So is there any concern, because since we already have a concentration of 20 and 21 liquor stores in that track, is there a concern that by approving this, we're still maintaining that concentration?
That's true. I mean, they are over-concentrated, and in that census tract, I mean, less intense would be a 20, but even less intense would be no alcohol license at all.
So, and so with that, we've got the 5 that you put up here. So there's 5. It would remain 5 that serve alcohol. It's just that this one would be less intense. Is what your recommendation is.
They wouldn't serve, they would sell, because it would be off-site.
Sell, yeah.
And then the only thing that would change is this number right here would become a 20 rather than a 21 if they applied for that. If it was denied completely, then we would be 4 licenses.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll go ahead and open up public hearing. Would you mind coming up and stating your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Nita Jariwala, and my address is 26377 Wisdom Drive, Hammett, California, 92544.
Thank you.
So we've been selling this liquor as a liquor store before, and when we applied for the original CUP permit, that time we didn't know, or nobody even mentioned it, that we have to have a license, we have to apply for a 21 license back again, or like ask for a CUP permit. So since we had a sign and everything, everybody come to see it, everything approved, we start running our business. After that, somebody coming and telling me that you cannot have this 21 license, which the liquor shelf was full, all sign was made, everything was done. So then they told us to apply for a permit again. So if I come up and apply for a 20, they say they can approve it, they can give me occupancy permit right away. But to change that, I have to change all those signs and everything back again. We spend almost $3 million to make that location nice, and if I'm trying to remodel again, I spent $59,000 for the sign, and I have to take it out everything. I have to rechange my plan inside back again. If they mentioned before, I wouldn't have that liquor over there and made a cooler over there, like long cooler or something different plan inside. But now since we already made everything, if I change it, it's going to be costing me too much money. And other thing is, having these many gas station and these many liquor store, even the drugstore are selling a liquor. What is benefit for me right now to have a liquor is I can bring a customer in to have everything on a one stop. We are on a corner of city and county, so all other cross around me, they have a 1% less sales tax than I do. So when customer gonna look everything, because it's 8 cents or $1, I'm paying more money for a gas, still I have to sell it cheaper. So I'm competing with everything. Since you guys made even medallions like that in between, it's very hard for me to bring customer in. So once you spend $3 million and then you don't have no business, it's not worth it for me to have a license 20. And if you're talking about the alcohol content in even beer and wine, there is so many beer and wine have a lot of alcohol content inside anyway. So it doesn't make any difference with the 21 and 20 right now. If you see it, since all those new beer coming in, you can see they have more alcohol inside anyway. So why I have to give up my 21 and keep a 20? And then everything I have to change. That's the difference. That's like I have to spend back money again. Yeah, they never mention anything about I have to have a CUP permit for a license 21 back again when people coming for a checking and inspection. You know.
Can I ask you, how long have you owned that business?
1993.
Since the 7-Eleven closed, we took it over.
Okay.
So the tank was still inside when we took it over. After we took it over, they take out the tank.
My name is Sanjay Jain. I'm her husband. The one thing I want to mention.
I'm sorry, same address?
Yes. When we submit the plans, each and every plan there is a liquor cell.
Like
Each and every plan they keep changing and changing, but still each and every plan says there's a liquor cell being over the side. They approved it, everything. They never mentioned, I've been working with this plan for 2010-11. I got a 3 times CUP permit, keep changing, extended. Now, other thing is I want to mention is that if you say surrender the liquor license, we didn't surrender to the ABC. We call it frozen. So we have to pay every year for certain amount. So they keep running our
license stays there on our name.
And every plan you see.
So if I could have the speaker speak into the microphone, because
Sure.
although we may be able to hear, the folks
Sorry.
cannot hear. Thank you.
Every plan we submitted to the city. I know since Rod Running or somebody I was dealing with that time. So we never discuss about the liquor license or type 21 to give up. They told me that meeting, which is in a city, you have to give up 2 of your drive-in. So I don't know what I mean. I don't know what. It was used to be 2 on the Stanford side, 2 was on the Florida side. So he said you have to give up 2 of your driveway to make a gas station. We agreed to that, everything. But they never mentioned you cannot able to have liquor type 21 in your business. Still we have all those papers.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So how did we approve plans that may have, how did we catch this and then have to impose this for it to be considered?
Well, the plan that they showed, the signed portion of any plan is not part of the approval. So whether they write liquor or if they write just beer, that portion does not get approved or get considered as part of the entitlement process. The signed application is completely separate from that. So whether they had a word liquor on there or not doesn't weigh or doesn't have a bearing on the approval of the entitlement of gas station and convenience store.
So the word liquor can mean beer and wine, or it can also mean beer and hard liquor.
I'm sorry, but they've been here since 1993. They've reinvested to, make it a nicer place. they've done all these things, and for them to lose that money because they're going from a 21 that they already have down to a 20 that we're asking them. I totally get it. I understand both sides of the story, but I really think that we need to support our businesses that are here too.
I just have a real heartburn over setting a precedent.
So,
Because if you set a precedent for them,
what,
you're going to have everybody else coming in that has a convenience store and gas station. However, if
we could, I'm sorry, Commissioner, if we could maybe finish up with the public
oh,
hearing.
okay,
before
sorry
we-
about that. I just
before
was
we
going to
start to
ask
discuss.
them a question,
Sure,
if I could.
please.
So you had this in '93, and you had your liquor license for the harder liquor since then. And when you reapplied, were you, and I get that too about putting them through this, and thank you for doing a really nice job, by the way. It looks very good.
Thanks.
So I guess my concern is similar to Cindy's, is that there was no discussion by staff about this because, why? Is there any reason, or can you tell me that again, HP?
Sure. I believe at the time it was reviewed by another planner, but at the time they were under the impression that they would be applying for normal alcohol sales. There was not a discussion that a continuation of the liquor sale would occur, neither by the applicant nor by the planner. So I believe they both sides have missed that component. Just to give you a reminder, there was another business owner that applied that had a 20 license and wanted to go for a 21 type license, and this commission has denied them twice for that same request. So I'm just giving you a reminder and a heads up on what occurred in the past for the same similar situation.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay, so the people who...
Please speak into the mic a little bit better. Thank you.
People who come to ask you guys for a 21 license, they never had a 21 license. They wanted to have it now because of maybe we have it. But our license has been running for a long time. So like if even somebody comes and say that, how come we have it? Because we had it. It's not something that new we applied and you guys approved. Your new rules are different than my old one, you can say that. And I'm not talking about the city of Hamlet, but if you can see one city of San Jacinto or somewhere, there is one, always they have a one gas station with the liquor. It's been long, because they have been long time, but some others they cannot approve because they never had it. So we are a little bit different than who are asking you for a liquor license now, because we already have it and we've been serving over there since even like they are talking about the 24 hours. We want to do the 24 hours if anybody like franchise store can approve us. But that corner lot, no franchise wants to come there. So we try to get the AM, PM, we try to get the Chevron, we try to get the different people. But they don't want to come in because they need now one bigger store with the bigger lot, which we don't have it. So we had to give up on that one too. That's why it took me long time to make the station, because we were thinking somebody else come, pay us some money, we spend our part, and we can make it nice, but it didn't happen. So we had to spend all money ourselves to make it that nice.
But I want to add one more thing, is our store hours we cut down also. So we open at 6 in the morning to only 10 o'clock at night. So we're not going to sell the liquor until 2 o'clock in the morning, which is their limit timing. So we're closing at 10 o'clock. So we are cutting our time also. Plus, if you look at our record since 93, police record, we don't have any of those claims for the robbery or anything else, or like a beer something, dispute or something. Only thing we call most of the time is for the people have some kind of argument, or panhandlers or something, those kind of people. Even since we opened up the store, we never had a problem about that kind of things. Only thing we call for the like a panhandlers or like squatters or whatever, somebody sleeps on the back or something, because they don't want to get out. So we have to call the police department. There's knock on wood, all these years, we never had any bigger issue or any problems like other areas have.
Can I ask you, what percentage would you say of your display or your store
10%.
is made up
10%.
About 10%.
Or maybe less than 10%.
Maybe less than 10%. Yeah.
so 10% of your total racks and everything else is
We have, I think she took a picture too. Can you? I don't know.
We don't have this.
Yeah, we do.
And then also, what percentage? I don't know. I don't want to ask this in a way that.
For sure, I give you all the
But I mean, how big is the liquor part of the business?
That's what I'm going to show you.
Not just in terms of size, but why is it such a big deal for a gas station to have?
No,
liquor?
it's not the big deal, but whatever we had, we spend the money for that particular area. Otherwise, I would have had a totally different floor plan. Instead of having like a small cooler, I could have a bigger cooler so I can display or sell more beer and wine. But if you see in my store, you can able to see it exactly how far I can, and even if you see it, if my clerk is still standing there to serve, is it hide behind them, so you cannot able to see that much. Can I represent the photo you have? I can hand it to you. Or?
I got one here.
Okay, good.
Behind the counter.
Behind the counter.
It's only not even 7 feet, but maximum 7.5 maybe.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions for the applicant?
I want
to show you
Please.
my yearly sale.
Just a reminder to the commission that you're a land use commission, so the amount of money that's being made, financial component, cannot be weighed into.
Yeah, thank you. I guess my thought process on that line of questioning was really on understanding that there's a couple different things here at work, right? The Hemet Rocks mission was really focused on improving the quality of life for City of Hemet residents following some pretty tough times, and it does lend itself to the opportunity to set a precedent whereby other businesses of a similar type can point to someone and say, hey, it's been done before. And I understand your point of that you've already had it as well. That makes it a lot more complicated and a little bit more hard to be clear, black and white. But it kind of goes back to just in general, why is a class 21 so? And it must be pretty good for gas stations to continue to process to get to class 21. But I have no further questions for the applicant at this point.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I have a question for the attorney. So we have a little bit different situation here because they had something that was, I guess, for lack of better words, grandfathered in because they had this kind of license at what used to be a gas station and convenience store, and it's gone on for 27 years. So what kind of rationale or how do we look at the fact that we have every every other convenience store, gas station, not allowed to have a Class 21 license, but yet this one does. Is there some legal background that we can look at that would allow us to allow this, or would that put us in a vulnerable position for the ones we have denied? That I'm assuming that one, HP came to us and did not have a 21 license and was going to 20.
That is correct. They had an existing Type 20 license, and they were requesting for a Type 21.
To a 21.
Correct.
Rather than having an existing 21 license and us requiring them to move to a 20. So that's what kind of legal.
Sure, and I would just ask the chair, we move on to the questions of staff section. Are we done with the applicants?
We're done with the applicants. Are there any other comments online or anybody on the teleconference?
Questions
Oh,
for
please.
the applicant. Between the Type 20 with the beer, liquor, and wine and versus beer and liquor, when you had to keep paying your renewal license to ABC every year,
Yes.
what price difference is between having a liquor and having beer and wine that you continue to keep that license active?
It's about a couple of $100 extra.
Okay.
But you kept it active the entire time?
Yes, I
The
did.
entire time.
And
The entire time.
Plus another thing is when you're running the business, so it's about $800 to $1,000. But when you froze it, we froze it for certain period of time. So it cost like a $1,500 to $1,800
Because it was frozen.
because it was froze. It's not surrender, it's froze. That's what they call it.
That's why the license fee stays on our name. They cannot, we didn't give up. We are still paying them to keep on our name when business is closed for remodeling. That's what it is. So when we reopened up back license again, she came and took picture and everything, said, okay, perfect. And they release our license back again to us to sell a liquor. So ABC didn't have no problem. They came and took all pictures and they took everything what their part needs to be done.
All right. Thank you guys very, very, very much. Any comments online?
We did not receive any e-comments, and I do not see any members of the public on the conference line.
Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and close public hearing. All right.
Now I'd be happy to answer the question. I agree. I mean, you do have a complicated question in front of you, and I don't believe that it is necessarily exactly the fact patterns that you've had before. We have an existing operation that has a Type 20 license. They're applying for a conditional use permit that will authorize them to get a Type 21 license and sell distilled spirits. You have something else. You had a legal non-conforming use in the sense that you had someone with a Type 21 license that didn't have a conditional use permit. It sounds like they came in and they wanted to establish a gas station and sought a conditional use permit. At that time, they did not request that alcohol sales be considered as part of that. They could have. Could staff have brought it to their attention? Perhaps. But now that we face the situation where they ceased operations for a period of time, I'm not familiar with the term frozen. My understanding with ABC licenses is that you can temporarily surrender them. And in fact, a lot of businesses have chosen to do so during COVID-19. But to get to the end of my answer to your question, I know we're all waiting for it. I do think that you do have a different set of circumstances. If you chose to go in the direction of, because of what has happened here, we would like to make a determination that in this case, approval is warranted. We can certainly work with staff to draft findings to that effect. I mean, I think you certainly have those facts. But you can also look at it from an ends perspective, which is you're going to end up at a gas station with a Type 21 license that can sell distilled spirits. And I think that you will have a lot of convenience stores with gas stations who may not see the distinction as easily as I can draft it. So I think you will get people who will say, why are they different? And we can certainly have the resolution demonstrate why we saw those facts that way. But I'm not going to promise you that there's not going to be some kind of consequences to that.
Would a defense be because they have had it for so many years and they kept paying into their licensing every year to keep that active.
I think that can certainly be your justification for granting their request for a CUP that allows distilled liquor sales. You can certainly find that they have had a Type 21 license since 1993, I think is when they said. That the reason that their business ceased operations was to do a significant number of improvements that this planning commission approved. And that for that reason, you believe it's warranted that they would continue to be allowed to enjoy that privilege?
The NHP, I mean, as of right now, they don't, because of our ordinance, they can't.
Correct. Current ordinance states that they must have a conditional use permit in order to sell alcohol. With their surrender and our ordinance, anything over 30 days requires a brand new conditional use permit. The ABC license did not verify with the city whether the applicant had a conditional use permit or not, and they reissued their old license. So they're operating currently without a conditional use permit from the city, but they do have a license from the ABC.
But for us to approve a CUP that would incorporate a Class 21 license, there would have to be a waiver of some sort to our, I forget the resolution, from our Emmett Rocks, or I'm sorry, a variance from our resolution, right?
We would have to make certain findings.
Sure.
To approve that.
Thoughts? Discussion?
My only thought and discussion is one thing if they switch ownerships, it's a different owner, different licensing. It's another one it's the same people who continue to have the same license. I know we had the discussion with the tobacco situation where it wasn't the same owner, so therefore we had to look at it differently. That's my only concern. It's not like it's a brand new location. It's the existing people, existing lot with an existing ABC license to that address. And and they show the 5 that are in the area that are over, what were they called? Lost the word, but there's 2 21 types.
Over concentration, yeah.
But there again, that's something that when they expanded its boundaries, that's just something that's, I think they should be able to keep that just because it's the existing owner, existing license. It's not anything new, not a new location, not a new ownership. That's just.
And that conversation would never come up with a business who's expanding from a convenience store to a gas station. So if a convenience store had a 21, now they're converting to add a gas station, the staff wouldn't know to say, hey, you have to go from a 21 to a 20. Like, that's not part of the process, is that right?
Well, the part of the process is that we accept the application as being submitted by the applicant. So applicant requested for a remodel of the structure, adding a gas station pumps, but there was never a request or discussion.
And that's kind of my point, is that they didn't know, and then everybody going over the plans for something that didn't have anything to do with alcohol, and I totally get that, but it's like they made all these investments, they did all this stuff, they've been here since 1993, and I don't even know how it was caught that now they can't, I don't know how it came up, but, this doesn't seem like it's going to be the norm when a gas station hears that they do have these things. Well, it's an easy explanation. They've been there since 1993. They added a gas station that wasn't there. That was there, wasn't there. It is different. It's not the same.
We're looking for a justification.
We are. I am.
I don't like to set a precedent that would cause, if we were letting you go from a 20 to a 21, or you were starting all over and you were applying for a liquor license, I would say I definitely deny. But when you have had that for 27 years, and I know it took a while to get your renovations done and everything, I do, you know, because initially I'm thinking, well, yeah, we should deny this because of the precedent setting. But I don't like moving somebody back to a 20 when they've had a 21 for all that time, and really and truly having, you know, living in your area. I'm on the east side. I don't see that changing a lot of things from what we've had there for so long. I thought I've gone two different ways during your presentation, so. And I really agree with the ROCKS program and what we try to do with all of that. Again, if it was taking the video store across the street and turning it into a liquor store, gas station too, that would be different to me. But when you've had that license for 27 years, you iced it or whatever you want to call it, and just brought it back in, I get that. And I get staff's issue too, because it's not something that you necessarily think of and, you know, include in all the CUP and stuff, but it might be a note to us that we make sure we do that in the future. So.
I agree with everything you said. And that's I think that's the hard part is, you know, you guys, the staff works very hard to help the community and make the right decisions. And I appreciate that. I don't agree with it setting a precedent, but only because they've had it the entire time. They're not switching. It didn't get revoked. Something didn't happen where they lost it. If that was the case, I would feel differently, but it's not.
Well, I think that if we were to look at approving a conditional use permit that incorporated a gas station with an existing Class 21 license, it would certainly need to be very clear why it's different and why it is not consistent with our ROCKS initiative. So because you're absolutely right that there's going to be a lot of people that come back, a lot of businesses that come back and say, well, wait, that's not fair. That's, you know, we're letting someone else do it when, having a long-term business, like you said, support our local business, having a long-term business that has been, and I don't know, there was the slide that had the, could you go back to the slide that had the number of police calls? Did that also had 7 days up there as well, right? Or did that have?
No, 7 days.
Just within context, do we have an idea of what, within the same period of time, what 7 days was in terms of number of
12
calls?
12 calls in the last year.
So it's down at the very, very bottom of the list.
So let's face it, the calls that they're having to do now, a lot of times are for vagrancy and, you know, that kind of stuff that wasn't so prominent in the not too distant past. And I know that's an issue right around there, people hanging around and doing what they do at your business.
So I look at 12 number of calls for a Type 21 licensed business. That's in line with, that's less than all the Type 20s with you know. So in terms of the intent of ROCKS, you know, I think it's possibly, you can make the argument that they're already basically complying with the intent, right? I mean, it's not a play. They've improved the store. They've invested to make it look nice. So yeah, it's a tough one for sure. But so, HP, what are our options moving forward here? If we were to, can we get a motion to continue this to a future date?
Certainly, you can continue the item and request staff to bring back a positive findings for the project and we can do that. And you can continue to date specific, that way we don't have to re-advertise the project.
Can you do it in 2 weeks? I mean, can you do it by the next planning commission meeting?
I believe we can.
I'd like to move that we continue this item to our first planning commission meeting of February.
I'll second.
Date?
Sorry.
That'll be February 5th. Oh, I'm sorry, February 2nd.
February 2nd, 2021. And ask staff to take a look at how we can make some findings that will allow us to go forward with the Type 21 license. And, Type 21 license that, based on the discussion that we've had here tonight.
Second.
That's fine.
All right, please vote. Oops.
Sorry, please your votes again.
Can we get a verbal?
Yeah, the voting machine's not registering.
Commissioner Bierschiffer? Yes. Commissioner Lemke?
Mrs. Lemke says yes.
Vice Chair Van Arsdale?
Yes.
Chair Wood?
Yes.
4-0.
Thank you. Yeah, it reminds me of, I have some good friends that applied for a solar permit in the county, and the county came in and said that solar is the new code enforcement, and so in order to get their solar, they would have to put a fence around their pool that had been there for the last 40 years. Yeah. I didn't agree with that one either. So. All right, so thank you guys.
Just, can I just double check? The open hours were 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., correct? Okay.
And that's staying. Well, I can answer that because I read that. Okay, thank you. And so moving forward, item 10A, City Attorney Reports.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce myself. As you can tell, you have a new person sitting here in the seat. My name is Stephen Graham. I am your interim city attorney, also the city attorney for the city of Canyon Lake, assistant city attorney for the city of South Central, formerly the assistant city attorney for Ontario, and the city of San Bernardino. I've been doing planning commission meetings for almost a decade. They're my favorite meetings to go to. It's one of the types of bodies where we are actually encouraged, like we did tonight, to actually go down beneath the surface and try to find solutions to problems facing the community. I look forward to working with you all. I'll be handing out cards. Has my cell phone on it. With COVID, that's the best way to reach me if you ever have a question. And I really look forward to working with your excellent staff on future meetings. Thank you.
All right, Director King, anything to report?
I don't have anything to really report other than that we have a new city attorney. We'll be working really closely with them with all the different aspects of different cases and projects that we've been working with. And also, our staff is now introduced to the city attorney, so we're working closely with them.
All right, thank you. And if you wouldn't mind, future agenda items.
Yes, we have a couple of new items coming along. Saddle Point is a single-family residential development that will come before you with an SDR. A Santiago RV Park is a addition of additional park spaces within an existing. So that will be coming before you shortly.
All right, and finally, our planning commission reports.
Commissioner Beamshiver,
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Hill,
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Lemke,
Nothing to report.
Vice Chair Van Arsdale,
Nothing to report.
Chair Worth.
Nothing to report, and welcome. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. And if there is nothing more, then we will be adjourned until February 2nd. And welcome as well.
Yes.
Thank you.